Hey, you! I'm your nutrition coach. My name is Jackie Poole. Welcome to Happiness is a Healthier Habit. Let's get today's episode started. Hello. Welcome to another episode. As always, I am happy to have you here. Join me for a few minutes, get information you need, and let's go ahead and get started. I literally just woke up after a little cat nap. I went out to take my doggy, Rosie, that I walk during the week, and we were out in the sun quite a bit, and I had done that before my workout. So I worked out, then I went to go do that, and then I went to the thrift store and came back and had lunch, and I just felt like super drained. I guess just being in the sun for a while just kind of took me out. So I have my drink here, my happy juice here with me, so you'll be hearing that. And I'm doing something different today as well. I decided that to add to more movement to my body, not just exercise, right? It's daily things that we can do, is just the little things. It's like taking those extra steps, parking further away from the grocery store, maybe, talking with my hands, maybe carrying the basket, instead of pushing the cart if it's just a few items that I'm getting. So I decided, I already do kind of all those things, but just add to what I am already doing, especially since summer's coming up. Just add, habit stack here and there. I decided to record standing, so I don't know if you can hear the difference, how more excited I feel like. I'm a person that talks with their hands, like I'm always moving them and moving my head and my body. So my body's always been a big talker with the words that come out of my mouth. So this definitely actually feels more like me standing up and recording. So hopefully you can hear how excited and happy I feel. I'm always ready to record these for you. So let's get started. Something that I've been listening to a lot, and it's that time, is, summer body, let's summer shred, let's, do 6-week challenge, 3-week program, a lot of that in mind, right? So I just want to mention this, if you're ready to kick those unwanted pounds to the curb and embrace a healthier, happier you. Summer is fast approaching. As your nutrition coach and weight loss coach, I'm here to help you crush those goals and maintain them for a lifetime. And I have a little announcement. I've got a special sale just for, you that are listening. Get ready to nourish your body, your mind, your soul with my holistic approach to wellness at a fraction of the cost. Let's make this journey fun, empowering, and totally worth it. So I hope you join me. I hope you do this. We all need support. And today's episode is about, what's holding you back, what's sabotaging you. Maybe some of you had goals to lose weight in the beginning of the year because, oh my God, we are in April and, time is going so fast. I feel like there's times where January feels super slow, but not this time around. And so maybe you had some aspirations, goals to really make changes as a resolution in 2024, and things haven't happened your way, or I totally get that, because sometimes I feel like I'm in that type of way. But what does sabotage look like to you or for you? Or, we're going to be talking about sabotaging and what's holding you back, because sometimes, we try, we give up, we fear, failure, all of these things. We don't want to spend the money where it needs to be going, and so we do other things. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, You can sabotage yourself in a number of ways. Some are obvious and some are a little bit harder to recognize. And so some of the things that we're going to be talking about that could be, holding us back is, blaming others for when things go wrong, choosing to walk away when things don't go smoothly, procrastination, surrounding yourself with people who don't support you, trouble stating your needs, your wants, unable to speak of what you need to be. A lot of people want to be seen, heard, and sometimes you have trouble stating those needs and you put yourself down. So we're going to be talking a little bit about all of these things because these are some of the main things that can really hold us back from achieving those goals that we want, achieving, that body that we want, especially right now. I'm like seeing it everywhere because I follow a lot of people that inspire me that also have programs, and I see it. And it's just, for me, I just want a body that I'm happy with, I'm content with, not necessarily like hot bod mom. And those are all great. Aspirations are great, motivate me to do better, be better. But at the same time, I don't want you to, because we all self-sabotage, this might be a trigger for you, kind of to like, I'm not even going to try because it's not going to happen. I'm not even going to do this or that. So this is for you to motivate you to kind of see where these things are happening in your life so you don't sabotage yourself, so you don't wrong yourself, so you motivate yourself and inspire yourself to go out there and do what you want so you can feel confident, so you can feel the best time of your life this summer, so you can feel the energy, so you're comfortable in the clothes that you're wearing, in the body you're in. And that's what today's purpose is about, because it is all over. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm just seeing it everywhere. And summer's only in 2 months, so it's right around the corner. So if you really want to make some changes, let's talk about how you can put yourself where you need to be without sabotaging yourself. So let's talk about the first one, which is blaming others when things go wrong. So sometimes things just happen without anybody's fault. Some misfortunes happen, and when those things do happen, it might cause you to blame others, or, oh, it wasn't my fault that this happened. Or, for example, say you decide to have like a cheat meal, right? Which I don't like that term, but when you decide to have a cheat meal and then you make it a day and then it turns into a whole week. You decide to restart on Monday. So you go grocery shopping, you do your meal prep, you do your meals, you feel good about starting the week right. And your unwillingness to change keeps you from moving forward altogether. So you're doing all of these things right, but there's just like this little doubt behind in your head that you can't do it. So you don't go forth with what you're supposed to be cooking, what you're supposed to be eating. Instead, you go out to eat during your lunches instead of taking your prep meals, And so your friends are cheering you on and you have the support from, significant others. And that can also be helpful. But when you don't have that, it's easy. Well, this person didn't help me, so I couldn't do it. But if you don't take time to explore how you might have contributed to some of those ways of thinking, those issues that started just with the cheat meal, right? Because it just started with that one decision. When we don't see that problem, it's really easy to blame others, and it makes it difficult to understand why we make certain choices or decisions. Not knowing why not only will allow you to stop blaming others, but you will actually start seeing results. And for example, for me, I'd rather just not buy sweets and treats at the house, because personally, I just don't have that control. I'm just being honest. When it's there, like I love chocolate, and when it's there, it's really hard for me to say no. So I make it really easy for me to just not have it and not have it around the house, especially right now after Easter. The kids had all this candy, and just kind of throw it away without letting them know, because it's easier to, that term out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. So I could blame, my aunts for buying the candy, my mother-in-law for buying the candy, and, all these people bought all this and I don't want to throw it away. But honestly, is it going to matter? Is it going to matter if you throw it away? No. It's easier to find blame on others, but truly just recognize your reasoning behind things and just act on those decisions, and understanding why you do certain things. If you're snacking a little bit more than you used to, why? Is there something going on that's triggering you, that snacking? So always recognize if you're putting the blame on others, and maybe thinking about some of the things that you're doing that could be better. Number 2 is choosing to walk away when things don't go smoothly. Now, there's nothing wrong with moving on from situations that don't meet your needs. This might be the best option sometimes, but it's usually wise to take a quick step back and ask yourself if you really made an effort, right? So maybe you can't seem to stay consistent with your food. You stop going on walks because you're not seeing results. So you decide to pay for a gym membership, and then you barely use it. And now at least you just have the membership, but you haven't really gone, and so forth. So these are all valid reasons, but such persuasive pattern could have some more to it. So doubts about your inability to succeed or see results could lead you to do things that disrupt your positive thoughts or keep you from thriving or seeing sustainable results. Maybe you're afraid, or you're afraid of what people might say, or what if I failed? So this comes to mind to me is, when people purchase like programs, right? When people purchase programs and like workout, go to the gym, hire a trainer, and it doesn't work out for them. They tried them twice a week and they didn't see any results. And so they don't stay consistent with it. Well, trainer's only part of results, right? Nutrition comes a long way with that. And so you give up on the trainer and you don't know what to do at the gym. You're not sure. You have that membership that you paid for and you really don't use it because you don't feel like things are changing. The needle isn't moving. So why even bother? You can go whenever you're ready. So it's always learning to evaluate, I guess, before making really rad decisions about changing things for yourself as well. It's tough, but working through these challenges and problems definitely help you grow. And when you give up before you put in much effort, you might not learn how to make different choices in the future. So this is where evaluation comes in. And this is something that I really talk about in my program, because evaluating is part of seeing what's working and what's not working, and that is also going to make a difference on long-term results. Okay, the next one is a pretty big one, is procrastination. So have you ever found yourself stuck when you're faced with the Monday coming after, quote unquote, a bad weekend, or then you proceed to say, oh, I'll just start next Monday. And it's a very well-known saying, and you're far from alone in this. A lot of people say, I'm going to start Monday, or this weekend I was with my mother-in-law, and I don't know if it's because it's just me that she was saying this, because I love working out, I love moving, I love doing different types of things all the time, staying mobile, staying agile. And or she was just thinking out loud, I don't know. But she said, I'm gonna go to the gym later. And this was Monday. The boys were out of school. There was no school Monday. And then 2 minutes later, she proceeds and says, well, you know what, I'll just put it off for tomorrow. So if you've prepared your workouts and know what you have to do and have sat down, know exactly what you're going to do, and then you just can't find, you're very prepared, you're ready, you're up for it, you have that membership, you have that gym membership, not only to find out that you just can't begin, there's something holding you back. Your motivation was super high when you made the decision, and now it's completely disappeared. And sometimes you could be avoiding these tasks by putting off for another day, like my mother-in-law did. Or you have this little conversation with yourself, like my mother-in-law did. Yes, I want to go to the gym, but you know what? I'll just go tomorrow. It'll be fine tomorrow, And then it's funny because she hadn't been to the gym since spring break. So that was almost 2 weeks ago. And so it's funny how we have these conversations why are we procrastinating? So procrastinating can happen for, no apparent reason, right? But typically there's something underlying, a cause that you might not know. You might be feeling overwhelmed by what you need to do. It might be that you have a very big goal, and you're just scared. You're scared that it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Why even bother? Why even try? So you have that overwhelmed thought that you might not be aware of. And it's something that you might have to dig deep to find that you might be having that. Also, you could be, having trouble managing your time. And again, or having a doubting ability in your confidence, in your results, and that makes a huge difference. And this is where accountability as your coach is so unique, that most people know what to do but don't, because of all of the underlying causes we just mentioned. We learn to overcome those with specific strategies, so this doesn't happen to you. And that's what we do when we're coaching. So you see the results you want, and you want to maintain them for the long haul. I mean, this is what coaching is. And so most people, like I said, know what to do, know how to eat, don't do it. And having that accountability, I cannot stress this enough. When you have the support, when you are literally doubting yourself, when you are having that fear, when you're having all of these thoughts, just know that I'm going to be there and guiding you the entire time. So you're not alone in this, because when you come out of the 12 weeks when we do work together, you'll know how to handle all of these things coming up. Because there's not going to be a day where you don't have doubt, where you don't feel like procrastinating, but you're going to have those tools to overcome those thoughts so you can have better decisions, take better actions, and have the habits that you need to overcome these things. And that's where coaching comes in. Now, speaking of accountability, right? You also want to surround yourself with people who support you, because when you quote unquote sabotage yourself or are having self-sabotaging behaviors, often appear in relationships. For example, marriages. Sometimes a lot of couples kind of let go. That tends to happen, or when you're dating, you're super fit, and then you're going out to eat all the time when you just start dating and hanging out with you, because you want to be with them, right? You wanting to know. And I think I've heard this somewhere, you get 10 pounds when you're first dating somebody that you really like, because you guys are just out enjoying each other and loving each other. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that, but here we're talking about weight loss and self-sabotaging. So that's something that should be spoken to with the people around you. And also, fun fact, you are most likely to be what the closest 5 people around you are. So if you hang around with people who smoke, most likely you will start smoking, or you've been a smoker as well. Or same thing with drinking. If you hang out with people who drink all the time, you are going to be drinking. If you are doing like exercising and hanging out with groups of people who are exercising, then most likely you're going to be exercising too, and so on and so forth. So you might want to keep hanging out with similar type of individuals for the supports that you want. And again, sometimes marriage can be a little difficult and I'm speaking this from experience. I know that when I started my journey, my husband and me were not on the same page. We've never been on the same page. And till this day, sometimes I'm like, why did you buy those 2 bags of Oreo cookies? And he's like, they were on sale. I was like, no. So it's really hard, right? Because sometimes we are not on the same page, and we are working this constantly. I am not perfect. He's not perfect. So by all means, I always like to keep it real, because it's not easy. He wanted the cookies. He got the cookies. But you know what? They've lasted there for 2 months. So I am very proud of myself. We give them to the kids on occasion. And so... But I was like, dude, do you really need to buy both? So I get it. Sometimes relationships are not there, but find somebody who will, try to make things work with your partner who has different goals, and, discuss what you're feeling, how you're feeling. Like I mentioned earlier, I cannot have sweet things. I'd rather just not have them, because I'm more prone to go ham on some of those things. So for me, easier, out of mind, out of sight kind of thing. So I discussed that with him, and most of the time you won't see Oreo cookies in our house. For the most part, you won't see chocolate in our house. Like, we are not going to be the ones to buy those things. So always surround yourself with support that you need for your health. Okay, so let's recap real quick. We've talked about blaming others when things go wrong, choosing to walk away when things don't go smoothly, procrastination, surrounding yourself with people who don't support you, and the next 2 is trouble stating your needs and putting yourself down. So again, we're talking about self-sabotaging and things that you could be doing. And so let's talk about a little bit about trouble stating your needs. Like I said in the beginning, everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be seen and listened to. And so if you have a hard time speaking up for yourself, you may have a hard time getting all of these needs met. And this can happen in a variety of ways, right? Family situations, among friends, at work, in romantic relationships, or just like everyday interactions. And again, when you have goals, people might criticize, might say certain things like, I know before, a few years ago, something that's really stuck with me is like I think it's like 4th of July with my family and aunts, and I brought like my turkey burgers, and everybody's like, oh, Jackie brought her meat. Like, okay, thanks. And so little things like that, maybe you feel belittled a little bit, and it's just little situations that can trigger you into be like, well, I don't want people to think I'm, being strict or rigid or things like that. And so my family does not do that anymore. One, because my cousin, she has like a bodybuilder as a husband, and he is always like very particular and meticulous about what he's eating, if it doesn't fit his macros, like he's not even gonna like look at it. So they've learned that it's very important to stay rigid when he's a bodybuilder. He has goals, and when he's on competitions, he can't be having the fried tortillas, the enchiladas, the chilaquiles, the tortas. Like, he can't. So I've kind of seen a change in that. And it took not only me to be doing those changes, but bringing somebody else on so they can actually see, like, hey, people actually watch what they're eating. And it's not that you have like a disorder or you're super strict. I'm like, but what's wrong with having a little discipline? What's wrong with being careful and watching out for your health? Nothing, right? So speak up. Tell people what you're doing. Don't shy away, because when you do, you belittle yourself and you lose that confidence. You lose that spark of motivation that you might have. And yeah, things are going to happen, but don't let those comments, those situations, those everyday interactions change how you feel about what you're wanting to do. And the next one is last one is putting yourself down. And so this one is a very important one because, again, it could definitely spiral out of control very quickly. And you always want to check yourself, right? People often set much higher standards for themselves than they do for others. We are very critical of ourselves. So if we were to talk to people the way we talk to ourselves, it would not be highly recommended. So when you fail to meet your standards, you might give yourself a pretty harsh feedback. For example, I can't do anything right. Nothing's going my way. I won't make my goal, so why should I even bother? So I just need to stop wasting my time. Wow, like, I really messed up. I'm just terrible at this. Like, I can't do this. So when you have these thoughts, whether, you're criticizing yourself in front of others or, have a habit of negative self-talk, this is the same thing. Your words definitely eventually take truth in this. You start believing those things. It's like that saying, you say a lie enough times, you start to believe it. And so that's definitely stuck with me for a while. When I hear things that really intrigue me and stick, they just kind of come out when I'm doing this. So let me say that again. When you say a lie enough times, you believe it. It's the same thing with negative talk. We're always, for example, I'm always cheering my kids, you can do better, you're doing great. There's always room for improvement, but I'm never going to be like, you suck today during practice. Like, that is something that I would never say. Like, you would crush somebody's dreams if you were to talk to them that way. So, believing that criticism can really promote an attitude of feeling like self-defeated, keep you from even trying again, and eventually you want to give up. And I don't want that for you. And so what causes you to self-sabotage? What causes you to blame others? What causes you to walk away from things when they don't go smoothly? What causes you to procrastinate? What causes you to put yourself down is, the behaviors we just talked about helped you adapt in one point in time in a previous situation. It could have been when you were younger, in a toxic relationship, whatever the reason may be, patterns learned in childhood. You have a fear of failure. Maybe it's something that you need to be in control. So all of these things could be causing it. But I have just a couple of things that can help you overcome all of these self-sabotaging patterns. So, good news. It is possible for you to disrupt these self-sabotaging patterns with very little effort. One is, now that you're aware that these things are considered self-sabotaging. You can identify these behaviors. It's not always easy to examine our actions deeply enough to note the patterns of self-sabotage, but admitting where we're at, starting where we're at is the first step. Creating awareness of what habits need to be created to actually see some change. And sometimes we want to run from it, we want to avoid it, or wait as long as possible so we don't have to face it. It's like that public speaking. You want to go last in the class. When I was in college, I hated that class so much. And I was like, whenever we had to present, I want to be last because I was always afraid of messing up or things like that. So you just want to confront it. Go head to head with it. If I was the first one, I would have been done, gone, worried about it. But here I am sitting in that class for an entire hour, drowning myself in like, oh my God, I'm next. I'm almost next. Oh my God, I'm next. Like that thought, right? So same thing here. It's just work on it head on. Face it, because there's going to be a point in time when you won't have a choice not to face it, right? And in my coaching program, once we get comfortable with each other, we definitely examine these behaviors. We find those patterns, which will help you look at those areas in your life where things seem to regularly go wrong. Right? Because I have friends, acquaintances, oh my God, I'm trying to lose weight. They've been trying to lose weight and it's just not happening. Every time I see them, they look like they've gotten bigger. And not to judge on their size, but obviously the last time I spoke to them, they had a goal. They had something they wanted to do in mind. They did it, but they're back where they started. Right? So you have to find these common factors that stand out. For example, maybe you had started a program and quit in the middle of it because you're not seeing results. Or maybe you had a pattern of restarting every Monday because weekends seem to be super hard for you. This is what we work on. You learn what sets you off. Once you figure out how you can stop sabotaging yourself, you are going to get so much better at these triggers. I mean, there's so many things out there that often put self-sabotaging behaviors into motion and people aren't aware of. It could be boredom, it could be emotional eating, it could be fear, it could be, things going so well, something's bound to happen like bad soon, right? It's going too good. That self-doubt, that stress, all of these things. So I'd recommend today's pro tip, today's actionable step that you can go and do and try is track in your journal, these triggers. Maybe something stood out to you today. What's that thing that you might be doing? You might be procrastinating. You might be wanting to do it. I know this was me when I first started. My mom kept inviting me to go on a walk, and I didn't want to. It's like, I don't want to. I'm happy as I am, but I was lying to myself. So I kept procrastinating. I was like, next time. I kept telling her next time. So, again, maybe now that you're aware of what self-sabotaging looks like, maybe you can familiarize yourself with these. And maybe track in a journal when you hear these things now pop up in your radar. As well as practice mindfulness. This is like a non-judgmental awareness of your thoughts and behaviors in the present moment. And you can, get help, which is something I teach exactly on how to do in a day-to-day basis. Mindfulness is so important. And it's so hard, right? Because people are like, well, I can't just stay still. There's so many ways, various ways that you can practice mindfulness. Acknowledge those thoughts that you're having, right? Journaling is super simple. Each time you uncover a trigger, try to just come up with something productive or different reaction that you tend to do. Replace those self-sabotaging behaviors you don't want, but don't just stop the behavior, right? We have to replace it with something. When we take out something, you want to replace it with something. Because when you take something bad out, quote unquote bad, you want to have something supportive there that's going to help you, because you might want to go back to where that was. So always replace with something positive so you don't reverse to soothing yourself with what wasn't helping. And just practice getting comfortable with failure. This is normal. You feel afraid of failure. Things are generally it's not fun to be like, it's the end of the 12 weeks and I didn't see any change. I'm just going to give up. No, because now you're not at step 1. You know what to do. You know what you're doing. You evaluated, right? Things don't happen overnight. You didn't gain the weight overnight. So don't expect to lose it overnight. And also talk about it with somebody. Talk about your fears. Last episode we talked about 7 signs of depression risk and things that can help you lower those risks. And talking about it is such an important fact because you speak those things out loud. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, you're not the only one dealing with this problem. You're not the only one having these issues, these fears. And I speak from, I've been there, done that. I hear you and I see you. And I totally understand. So when I say talk about it, talk about it. Find somebody that you feel comfortable spilling your guts out. Hey, and if it's me, it's me. I am always here to listen. Lastly, but not surely, let's end this. Today was kind of long, and I feel so glad that I got to do this today. Because I always kind of prep these things, and I just kind of spill. And today felt like I was talking to myself. Because I needed to hear this. I needed to hear this so bad. A key factor to seeing results and not giving up and not having those self-sabotaging tendencies, which I've said that word like so many times this episode, self-sabotaging, is identify what you really want. What do you want? What's your why? That is the number 1 question. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself? Self-sabotage can happen when you're looking just one step in front of you. I was listening to, when was it? Today's Thursday. I'm recording this on a Thursday. On Wednesday, Arnold Schwarzenegger came out on the New Heights podcast with Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce. They are 2 football players, if you're unaware of, but they normally don't have guests, and they had Arnold Schwarzenegger as a guest. That man has been a bodybuilder champion 7 times, like movie star, California, governor. And I didn't even know this. His book has been out for like 6 months, but he just had a new book called Useful. And he states that you have to have a clear vision of what you want so that you can see where you're going, right? If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there? You don't have that GPS, that map. I've been here 2 years in Kyle, and I GPS my way around everywhere because I don't know how to get anywhere if it's not in Kyle. If I have to drive to Austin, GPS. If I have to drive to San Marcos, GPS. We GPS everywhere. You need to know where you're going. So identify what you really want. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What is your goal? Getting to know yourself better and exploring what you truly want from life can help prevent this kind of self-sabotage. It isn't enough to know what you want, though. You also have to have the support, the respect, and want to work for it enough. And I say this because I don't want you to hit rock bottom and then decide to do it. Do it now when you don't have issues, when you can start. Why wait till tomorrow? Why? So today, number 2, I asked you earlier, maybe journal some of those triggering behaviors just to start with. I recently got invited to a journaling session later in this month, and I really like those. I did one last year, which was really fun. It was something new to me. They were all into the stars and your signs and kind of very like woo-woo, but I love that. I'm not into that, but I love it. She had questions for us, and we were going to do a plunge at Barton Springs, but it started lightning and we couldn't. Which I'm excited. We should totally do that. I'm psyched for that. That sounds so cool. But anyways, so number 1, take home away today. Today was long. I hope you stuck with me the entire time, but remember, I just want you to remember these 2 actionable steps today is figure out those trigger factors that are causing you to self-sabotage. Write them down. Keep them close to you. And number 2 is write your why. And then ask why again. And then ask why again. And then ask why again one more time. Why do you want to do that? Why? Thank you. I really enjoyed today's episode. I love today's episode. It's kind of long. Normally, I don't go this long, but thank you. And remember, a happier you is a healthier you. Bye.